The 2023 NBA Coach of the Year has taken his talents to the Big Apple. Mike Brown headed to New York to take over the helm with the Knicks. LeBron James has ties to the new Knicks head coach, but his current team gets their man in the middle. Will that calm the trade speculation? And could Damian Lillard end up as LeBron's new teammate? So much happening on the third day of free agency. Welcome to Free Agent Fever. Chris Miles here alongside Steve Smith and Ryan McDonough. Mike Brown, the two-time NBA Coach of the Year, including just 2 years ago at the Kings in 2023, the newest head coach of the New York Knicks, whether it's as an assistant or as a head coach, Smitty. He's got almost 30 years of NBA coaching experience. What do you make of this hire for New York?
You know, I like it. I've been with Mike Brown for 2 years with the San Antonio Spurs. And obviously back then it was all about defense for us. And then obviously as his career evolved, he's got a chance to coach under Steve Kerr in Golden State. And they've been offense, run and gun, move the basketball. So I think you've seen it all. I think he's going to be a good fit. He has a good relationship with players. He understands how to get the best out of guys. I thought the Kings were prematurely fired him. I couldn't understand that fire, but I think right now is the Knicks and the media, he can handle New York media, which I think is a big part of being able to coach in New York.
Ryan, he had the best offensive rating when he won Coach of the Year just 2 years ago with the Kings. We know the Knicks, a very talented offensive group. What do you make of his coaching style with this talent on the team?
I think having the best offensive rating in Sacramento shows growth from Mike Brown. He's known as a defensive-minded guy. He had very good defensive teams in Cleveland, and he survived a long process here, Chris. The Knicks head coaching search took almost a month. They cast a wide net. We know some of the other guys they talked to, James Borrego, Mike Nori, Taylor Jenkins, even went outside the box a little bit, talking to Jay Wright, seeing if he was interested, and then Don Staley, the head coach at South Carolina as well. But Mike Brown, what a situation for him, guys. Gets fired. I think they were 13 and 18 in Sacramento right around Christmas time last year. And I think with all the injuries in the East, Chris, now he's coaching a team that will be maybe not the odds-on favorite, but right up there with Cleveland at the top of the conference as we head into next season.
Well, you say that, Smitty, and as much as we talk about Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, they got Mitchell Robinson back for the postseason run. So now you add Gershon Yabusele and Jordan Clarkson, a guy that can get you a bucket off the bench. The Knicks struggle with bench scoring in the playoffs. What do you make of adding those two guys to the bench?
Well, you start talking about scoring. Yes, Jordan Clarkson. I love this pickup with him. He has some history with Josh Hart. They played together in the Lakers, but Robinson being able to hopefully play the entire season will definitely help Karl Anthony Towns because I think that'll get a chance to move him at times at the 4. And Yabusele is one of my favorite players. He understands how to play. He understands he can go get his own. He can play in pick and roll. He's one of those basketball guys that has a real feel, kind of a guy with a 2 or 3 mindset, but of a body of a 4 and 5. So I think Mike Brown, because of his basketball IQ, will move him all around the court.
Right, I know you hear of breaking news. Broken news alert, courtesy of Chris Haynes, told us prior to the start of free agency that DeAndre Ayton, he was going to head to the Lakers. He's agreed to a 2-year, $16 million deal to join Los Angeles. Tacking on his buyout agreement with the Blazers, Ayton is also set to make a $33 million total this season. Ryan, the Lakers are now an apron team, having used the full salary cap. What does that mean for their flexibility now?
They don't have a ton of flexibility after this move, Chris. I think it was a good move for the LA Lakers. DeAndre Ayton signed the 2-year, $16.6 million contract. That is the remainder of the Lakers' non-taxpayer mid-level. They gave a portion of it to Jake LaRavia, who they signed a few days ago. Now they give the rest of it to DeAndre Ayton. They also give him a player option for next year, so we'll see how it works out. But the Lakers have a huge need at center. We saw in the playoffs, Jackson Hayes, who was their starter, played fewer than 10 minutes a game in the Lakers' first 4 playoff games. He didn't play at all in Game 5 when they were eliminated against Minnesota. So this is a tremendous opportunity for Ayton, playing with 2 future Hall of Famers on the perimeter in LeBron James and Luka Doncic.
And I hear LeBron James. I hear Luka Doncic. When I think of Luka's his most successful seasons, I think of bigs that play big around the basket. Offensively, Ayton does that. But tell us also about some of those shortcomings defensively.
Well, I think that's the one thing is he's not one of those guys that's overly aggressive blocking shots, but he understands how to play the game, especially off pick and roll defense. He's a guy, yes, can play a little bit of drop, but also can switch at times. He's a lob guy, but I also like him when he's right. he can knock down the elbow jumper, the 15-footer. He can make plays, dribble handoff. The Lakers, I'm with Ryan, they really needed DeAndre Ayton. They had no one else. But I think also for them is they're still missing a wing defender. They got rid of Dorian Finney-Smith. That's going to really hurt them, and that puts more pressure on Luka to be a better defender and LeBron to be a better defender, and that's a tall task for those guys right now.
So now that they're an apron team, having used that full mid-level exception, how can they make moves? Is there a way to improve this roster by making trades with the group that they have?
They can make trades. They also have the biannual exception available. That's only about $5 million, Chris, but it is more than a minimum contract, and that can be a differentiator when you talk to some of these free agents. But I agree with what Smitty said. I think Dorian Finney-Smith leaving really hurts them defensively. I like how this team looks offensively a lot. I just worry about who they're going to guard, Chris. Ton of offensive talent. They'll still think a lot of holes defensively, especially on the perimeter. And I also think they need to add another center because Jackson Hayes as well as Alex Len, those guys are free agents. So keep an eye on them to add another big, either using the biannual exception or a minimum contract.
Well, the Celtics, Warriors, Lakers, three teams that have reportedly shown interest in Damian Lillard following his buyout. Smitty, coming off an Achilles injury. He's going to be 35 to start of next season and, most likely out most of the year. What would be the expectations from those teams if they do add Damian Lillard?
Well, they had a first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion. They had a guy that can flat out shoot the basketball, who loves to play the game of basketball and has not won a championship left. So he'll still be hungry to try to get to that next level, get over the hump to finally win it. I like him of the teams you just announced. I like the Celtics because the timetable will be similar to coming back with Jason Tatum. And they need a guy that can flat out shoot it. Derek White, they had their utility guy. Now you have a guy that can sit there and really knock down shots. I think that's a great fit for him if it's the Celtics.
Chris Haynes also reported that Giannis wasn't happy with the Dame wave and stretch that the Milwaukee Bucks executed. Ryan, why is the timing not right for Giannis to ask out now?
Giannis still has 3 years left on his deal, Chris. He is going to be extension eligible next year. So there's a pivot point next year. And I think if you're Giannis, you can go to the Bucks organization and say, look, we gave it a chance with Miles Turner coming in. We're just not good enough a year from now. But free agencies move very quickly. Chris, there's not an obvious home for him. And we know the Bucks don't want to trade Giannis. Seems like he's going to have to push his way out of Milwaukee. So keep an eye on how it goes this year. But I'd be surprised if he's traded this offseason. Keep an eye on the trade deadline, depending how the season starts. And then especially next summer when he has more leverage with the extension on the table.
All right, Smitty, take us through this. If Giannis said tomorrow, I want out, or if at the trade deadline, all right, time to move me, or at this time next year, how many teams are willing to part seas? Like, what would the market be for Giannis?
Well, he's Giannis. I mean, there'll be a lot, but how many people can afford him? And how many people like Ryan at that ham can put a deal together to get him? I mean, I think he fits in with pretty much every team, the way he plays the game. But it's going to be extremely hard to find a home where you're not giving up so much. You're giving up so much for Giannis, and you won't be a championship contender team. So we shall see. If he wants to go somewhere now, he can go to Brooklyn. That's the one place I can see him going because of the money. But I don't see him moving right now. I think during the trade deadline, like Ryan said, if it's not going well, you can have some other disgruntled guys. But there's not a lot of places you can go and win right away because so many assets have to come back.
You know you broke a rule of this show just now.
What's that?
You said Brooklyn. There's only one team we're talking about in New York, and that's the Knicks. They got a new head coach for Brunson Burner and company. That's up next